Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. We welcome those tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and X. Glad you all could be with us. Also, we welcome in our audience tuning in on Instagram as well. Glad you all can join us. We're about to bring in our friends over on Amazon and introduce you guys to today's guest. If you guys are new to us on Cyrus Webb Presents, we're glad that you all could join us for today's broadcast. And we're now live on Amazon Live with Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. So glad you all could join us on the Amazon platform. If you guys are new, welcome. Make sure you guys hit the follow button. You see it either here in this corner or down below. You also will see the book by our next guest. We're excited to welcome author Helen Winslow Black to our broadcast today. She's the author of the book I have here, Songs My Mother Taught Me. And believe me, the title is only a part of what you'll find in this story. We're going to talk to Helen all about the book, but also what it's been like for her to write these characters and to see the response. If you guys are not staying connected with Helen, we'll let you know how to do that. But Helen, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Cyrus.
Look, the pleasure is definitely all mine, Helen. I've been looking forward to this. I enjoyed this book, and it was so interesting when our mutual friend, your publicist, set up this chat with us. I didn't know what to expect when I got into the book initially, but there's so many different layers in here, and we'll get into some of that. But I want to first begin with this. What has it been like for you as the creator of this world to see the way that people are responding to the book?
Well, what I get a lot is it's so real, and
Right.
and and that's very flattering.
Yeah.
That's very flattering because you want it to be real. You want to write stories where people they just step right into the character's cloak and wrap it around them, and it's really real. So because then you can get your message across. So I'm flattered by that. And yeah, I'll stop there.
Yeah, well, it,
Yeah.
it is very real. And I will say this again, the book is full of a lot of surprises. So I will say for those who have not read it yet, of course, now it's the perfect time to get it through our friends here on Amazon. You can get it either in print or the Kindle edition. We have it there in the carousel for you guys. But what I love about Kim's journey, the main character, is that
Mhm.
you're not afraid to take her to the ringer. A lot of times with with the heroes of books or the heroines of books, they come out unscathed on the other side of whatever the story is. That is not the case with Kim. So because the book is written in first person, what was it like for you, Helen, to take this journey along with Kim?
It was very difficult to write it in first person, especially as there's a previous book which I would think of as a prequel, which deals with her earlier life, and that was in first person. So I kind of felt obligated to continue in first person. Um, but it was difficult. The next book I'm going to go to third person.
Ah.
But she I don't believe I shouldn't say I don't believe in happy endings because I do, but I think it's very real when people go through these things and it's not pretty. Life is messy.
Yeah.
There's humor in the book. There's a lot of humor in the book. There's a lot of
Hmm.
music in the book, and I think that when you have like humor in a book, I was just thinking about that earlier. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Hmm.
It balances it out a little bit because humor is really real. You can't fake humor within a family conversational dynamic. And when you have that, then you can slide into more sensitive topics, difficult topics, emotionally fraught scenes, and you're not hitting the reader over the head with a hammer. It's very real and realistic. So that's kind of what I was trying to do.
Yeah, and I love the fact too that you mentioned that, music, but I think the other thing that I took away from the title "Songs My Mother Taught Me," Helen, was that a lot of times we learn lessons from people that almost kind of stay in our, like how some songs stay in our head. Those
Mhm.
lessons stay in our head as well, and we have someone like Kim who has a very interesting, I'll use that word, relationship with her mother, the way her
Mhm.
mother sometimes sees her. So there's that playing in her head, and then the
Mhm.
events that we kind of see her go through in this book sometimes reinforce. Okay, is she as strong as she thinks she is? Is she as good, as she would like to think?
Right.
I love that
Mhm.
aspect too. Was that part of the I hate to use the word fun, but I will. Was that part of the fun of kind of seeing how Kim would navigate the turbulence of her life?
I think so. You know, she sticks her foot in her mouth sometimes, and she falls down, and you know, we were talking about being real. I want her to be real, and I think when you talk about the songs, she she does have an interesting relationship with her mother, and I think by the end of the book, she's, I think, in her early 40s, and I think what she's realized is that all those lessons, is her strength comes from the women around her, her grandmother,
Yeah.
her mother, her sister. It's not her fixing her life, going through hard times and getting over them, and then going through hard times again. She can't do it alone. So when
Right.
you're talking about lessons from other people, it can be from anybody. But in
Yeah.
this particular book from Kim, it's most specifically from her family around her, the women in her family. It's like the collective wisdom. There are
Mhm.
phrases that float through the book, like the past is the present of another day. It's something that Kim's mother says to her, and she reflects on over the years, and it has an impact on her. And
Right.
so songs my mother taught me is the lessons that you learn. And yes, they can be from any mentor, you know.
Yeah.
They can also be from family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
TJ, hello to you over on Amazon. Glad you could be with us. And TJ says the same thing, sounds relatable. And I think that goes to what we were
Mhm.
saying earlier about it being real. Helen, so Helen, let's step back for a moment. I'm going to come back to the book, but talk to us
Mhm.
about your own belief in self, because that's one thing Kim has to realize, that even as her world is shaken by betrayal and tragedy and all of the complications that can come with life, she does have a belief in herself and what she can do, not only for herself but also, for her family. When did your belief in yourself, when it comes to writing, when did that show itself for you?
Oh, I think it might have been in college. The first time I ever saw my name in print
Uh-huh.
in a student publication, it was like, whoa, it was real. And I'm a late bloomer
Mm.
in a lot of ways, but I've always had that core belief. Um, I'm good at this.
Mhm.
I can tell, I can feel it in my bones. And I just wrote over the years, kind of under the radar screen.
Mhm.
Um, but I think it came when I left home. That's the time when most of us kind of like forge our own identity and become an adult individual. And I took these classes and I realized I love this. And also, now that I'm thinking about it, Cyrus, there were two particular teachers that I had
Mhm.
that affirmed that for me.
Yeah.
And when you get that kind of affirmation from somebody who's not like your mom or dad, like, oh yeah, that was a great concert, you know, um, then
Right.
it really means something to you, and it helps you shape your identity going forward.
I totally agree. I had teachers like that myself, Helen, so I can totally agree
Hmm.
with that. And that when you said that, it reminds me of something that happens in the book, actually. And it's with Kim, because as you said, lessons can come from different places. There's a fascinating back and forth conversation you wrote in the book with Kim and the character we get to know as Monroe. And I love the
Yes.
fact that Monroe, even though dealing with, and I won't get into that, readers will see it, has had their own challenges, right? But Monroe
Hmm.
says to Kim, we are all trapped by our circumstances.
Yes.
I
Yes.
want to talk about that because I love that, the phrasing of that, but I also think it also lets us know that, you know what, sometimes we have to deal with the cards that were dealt and how we come out the other side of that. Monroe knew that. Kim, I think, had been learning that by that part. What was that like for you to think about that line that you gave to Monroe about being trapped by circumstances in relation to what the characters had gone through?
Yes, that's a key theme in the book and something I'm really interested in exploring is, the fact that your past, your childhood, your experiences, your earlier experiences are vibrantly alive in the present. You carry them with you. They're there. How do they inform? They inform your everyday interactions. They inform your decisions. And if the circumstances in which you were trapped when you were born, were positive, then you're lucky. If they weren't, and you are unable to deal with them, or unwilling, or it's too difficult, then you shove them away, and I believe they come back to bite you. And I'm very interested in how circumstances can mire you, and can you get out of that, and who can, and what is it in people that makes them able to lift themselves up and put themselves on another track if they see that that's called for. That's a very interesting question.
Yeah, it really is. And I think too, I love the idea. Hey, Amy, good to be able to see you. And Amy says on Amazon, so true about our childhood. I think that's so true. I also love the fact that that conversation with Monroe that Kim has, Helen, kind of gives her permission to a lot of times we're kind of told, oh, get over it. Whatever happened, get over it.
Yes, right.
But at least she was able to acknowledge it and how that was impacting where she was at that point. And I think that's the choice all of us have, right? We can acknowledge what may have happened, acknowledge what may have hurt us, but then choose to move forward. There's another theme that comes up in this book in different ways, and that is the appreciation for the world around us. A lot of times the world is not perfect, but appreciating what we do have, right? How important has that been for you, Helen, in your life, to appreciate what is good in the world, even when everything may not seem like it's good?
Someone said to me a long time ago, oh, that's another song, right? Someone said to me a long time ago, you can't make this stuff up, can you? Every day is a beautiful day if you have a grateful heart.
Yeah.
And that's always been in the back of my mind. You can sit around and whine and moan about first world problems or whatever, but I think gratitude is very important, and seeing the cup half full. Look, if this protagonist in this book, Kim, if she did not see the cup as half full, she wouldn't be where she is at the end of the book.
Right.
Managing through very traumatic circumstances with 3 children in tow. So I'm a great believer in the cup half full.
Yeah. It's a great reminder. I'm so glad you mentioned, of course, the children. Amy says, "I need that on a coffee cup."
Yes, or a T-shirt, or yeah.
Yeah, it's a great reminder. For those who are just tuning in, welcome. You're watching Cyrus Webb Presents. We're on Amazon Live, but we are simulcasting on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram. Helen Winslow Black is our guest for this segment. She's the author of this book you guys see here on Amazon. You guys can see it as well, and that is Songs My Mother Taught Me. You can get your copy today. If you guys have a question or comment for Helen, you can put it in the chat. 4i Candy, hello to you. Good to be able to see you over there on Instagram. Glad you could be able to join us as well. So I want to talk to you about, for you, you mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, Helen, that people were saying how real this was. Was it hard for you to let it go? Because I think it is there are lighter moments in the book. There's definitely, I think, inspiring moments. Was it easy for you to let these characters go when you finished the book?
I think it was, because I feel that at the end of the book, I got the family, and I got this mom, I got Kim into a good place where I kind of felt confident. It's like I've been living with these people in my head for years. It's like they're my little universe. They're my babies. I feel like she's in a good place and able to move forward with her life. at peace, having achieved some resolution. That's all you can hope for. You're never going to make everything perfect. You're never going to fix everything. So many things in life are, you can't do anything about it. That's the
Mhm.
universe of lost answers, isn't it? You can't do anything about it, but if you can work through it and make peace with it and get some amount of resolution, however you do it, that's a good place to be, and that's all we can ask for.
So true. And I love the fact you mentioned earlier about Kim's children. And I think
Mhm.
that they're able to see something that maybe Kim was not even able to see in her own home. And that was the resilience, the
Mhm.
fortitude, and the willing to move forward in spite of, right, in spite of.
Mhm.
And so I thought about that again in relation to the title of the book, that's
Mhm.
the now the song that they can be able to sing.
Bingo, bingo, because when we were talking about the title, so now I will go further and say that
Okay.
the songs her mother taught her, all that wisdom, every word, every phrase, every lesson, she gets it at the end. She realizes she grows up, right? That's a transformative experience. She
Mhm.
takes the baton from her mom. She becomes the mother teaching her children songs. So songs my mother taught me is actually now not her saying about her mother, but
Mhm.
her daughter saying it about her. And
Yeah.
that's that's the unity of time. That's the eternal now. That's the going and going and going. That's the passing along of collective wisdom. And
Mhm.
and so there's that little extra meaning to the title, kind of little secret meaning, but it's not secret by the end of the book if you understand it. And I just really kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that fact too, as I mentioned in the beginning of this conversation with you, Helen, as I can understand why people say it's so real, because again, as you mentioned, you know, no one has the perfect circumstances all the time, but
Mhm.
you can be able to find those perfect circumstances in every day. And I think that's it, right? I
Mhm.
had a guest say to me one time, and it was so powerful that, it's a mistake to say you have a bad life. You may have a bad moment or moments in life, but it's your choice whether it's going to be a bad life or not, based on what you
Yes.
do outside of that. And I think Kim
Right.
kind of embraces that.
Yes.
For you, outside of Kim, I mentioned
Mhm.
Monroe. Was there a character that you became really fond of in the book?
I have a bit of a fondness for Bill, the next
Mm,
door neighbor, the
okay.
bachelor guy with the suspenders, who who runs over the hill to help whenever whenever she needs her car started or something like that.
Yeah.
There and there was a reviewer who said, I love that character and you should have done more with him. And I'm like, there'll be another book, don't worry. But I really liked him because it was a very kind of tender kind of friendship.
Yeah.
He has a friendship with the husband, and he also has a friendship with the wife, and he also has a friendship with the kids, and it's just so tender and lovely. There's one scene where they're sitting on the hill watching the sunset, and she says, I wish I could, I don't know, bend the arc of time so that this moment could last forever. um, she does live near her family. She lives near her sister and her family, but I think one always craves more family, and your family doesn't necessarily need to be your blood family.
Yeah.
I have lots of people that I consider my brothers and sisters who aren't blood related to me. They're
Right.
honorary cousins, and I think we accumulate these people around us as we move through life. And I think for Kim, Bill is one of those people who becomes a part of the family, and that again I think is something very real because I think everybody does this.
Right. Such a great
Yeah.
thing and such a great point. Again, everyone, Helen Winslow Black has been our guest. Songs My Mother Taught Me is the book. It's out now. You can get your own copy of it either here in print or the Kindle edition here on Amazon. For those of you who are not joining us on the Amazon platform, there's a link that we're bringing you guys over to Amazon to get it for yourself. Helen, really appreciate you spending some time with us today. How can our audience stay connected with you?
They can go to my website, which conveniently is myname.com. So it's Helen. I'm very imaginative. HelenWinslowBlack.com. You can even email me with in that system if you like, Helen@HelenWinslowBlack.com. I love talking to people. I love the conversations. Books are no more than conversation starters, Cyrus. I mean, you know that well. They're little conversation starters. It's the conversation that matters. And so they're like little fire starters. And I love the conversations. But at the moment, it's my website, HelenWinslowBlack.com. I will get an Amazon author page.
Okay.
Or no, is it a Facebook author? Whatever. I do what my publicist tells me. He says do this, and I do it. Yes.
Love that. Jamaican girl, hello to you over there on IG. Good to be able to see you. Helen, I really enjoyed this. I'm looking forward to our next chat together.
Thank you so much, Cyrus. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.